Hello, everybody. I'm here with.
And I'm Cal Dodd, voice of Wolverine from the X-Men animated series of 92 to 97.
Now, Cal, you've done voice acting for a little while now, and you're most prominently known for Wolverine.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you auditioned for Wolverine, did you have any idea that the cartoon would blow up the way it did?
Would take off the way it did? No, none of us did. The whole cast. First, number one, we didn't even know what an X-Men was. I agree. Seriously, no one knew. I didn't know who my character was. I used to say, like, who is he? It was bizarre. And they showed me a picture of him, and gave me a couple of lines to read, and they explained what he was like and his attitude, and they just, when I gave them the line, which was, you like picking on people smaller than you, well, I'm smaller than you, pick on me. They just went, yeah, thank you, you can go now, and they phoned me the next morning, because they were ecstatic, so they'd been searching for Wolverine for quite a while, so that was a lot of fun, and a great pleasure.
That's really interesting to hear that you, prior to this, you have little to no knowledge of Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
After you got into the role for Wolverine, did they encourage you to look him up more and to find out more of the characters so you could have more of a take on it?
Yeah, well, the direct, when we went in for our first shot at doing his voice and what he was going to sound like when he wasn't upset, which isn't very seldom that he's not upset. But there was so they said, what will you do at that point? I said, just talk like this. Let me down here and calm, as opposed to like this. They said, okay. And, we worked on that for about 4 hours. And my wife went and bought me comic books, and I discovered this wonderful, wonderful character, Wolverine. I fell in love with him. And he was like my brother for 5 years.
Now, reading Wolverine comics, what would you say was one of maybe your best, or not your best, your favorite story arcs or your favorite moments in a comic book universe that you read?
A comic book?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I never read them.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay.
No, I was doing him. I was doing his voice and doing the animated series. We had our own scripts, so there's no need for me to read any more comics. I was just very quickly seeing what his attitude was and what he was like in the comics. And, I didn't waste too much time on that because I knew enough from the directors and producers telling me all about him. It's because they were, of course, the guy from Marvel. Joe Calamari was the Marvel dude who was like with us, and he took me aside. He said, this show is very, very important to Wolverine. So he said, keep that in mind. He's like the character.
Now, when you voice Wolverine, you essentially set the bar to what Wolverine should pretty much sound like. Did you?
And what I love hearing from the fans here, and anywhere that we go, is whenever they read the comic, they hear my voice in their head, that's just a scary thing. It's, there's people all over the planet reading X-Men comics and hearing my voice in their head. It's a great compliment. And I say, yeah, there was no one before me. I just, created the voice. And then, of course, after our 5 years, they did it in LA. They did X Factor or something that Steve Bloom voiced Wolverine, whom I met. He's a great guy. And we're Wolverines.
Now, there's been a series of different Wolverine voice actors that have taken a mantle.
Pardon?
There's been a series of different Wolverine voice actors that have gone and taken a mantle of doing what you've done. Would you say that you've helped influence what Wolverine they should do, or like how they voice him?
Oh God, yes. Yeah, they were obviously trying to get as close to my voice as possible.
If given
Steve said that. I mean, Steve, when I first met, literally just did one of these and said, "You set an awfully high bar, my friend." And so of course they had to get that attitude and that voice, or attempt to do that.
If given the opportunity again, would you voice Wolverine and maybe
in a Sudbury minute? And maybe you don't understand that, but there's a place in Canada, Ontario, called Sudbury, and it's like living on the moon. I mean, it's that far north, and it's a lovely place, Sudbury, but it's out there. So yeah, in a second, and hopefully that will happen.
Now, Wolverine
hey, Disney, are you listening to me? Make this happen.
Wolverine has become such an iconic character, even so much where he has his own individual movies with Hugh Jackman starring as him. How did you feel knowing that Hugh Jackman took Wolverine to a whole nother level, but he was already such a big character?
How did I feel about you and that whole thing?
Yeah, how did you feel about Hugh Jackman being as a Wolverine?
Well, I met him. He was in Toronto in the year 2000, shooting the very first X-Men film. And he was, of course, nervous and excited because he was jumping into something he didn't know the character either. And we met at this function, and he was introduced to me, and he said, "It's nice to meet you, mate, but I got to tell you, I'm sick and tired of listening to your voice." Because the only reference for Wolverine fans, X-Men fans for Wolverine, was my voice from the animated series. And the animated series was why they started doing the movies, because it was so popular. So, excuse me, he had to study my voice. So, and you know, I watched the first 10 minutes of the movie and I said, well, I couldn't watch it more of it. It's just, Wolverine's like 5'3", he's 6'4", and he did a fantastic job. Nothing but kudos to him.
Now, you've also done voice acting for Wolverine in video games like Marvel vs. Capcom and a few other fighting games. How would you describe that environment compared to working in the studio for the animated series?
Totally different. Totally different. It's very business-like, very dry. Excuse me, and you're just yelling out a bunch of smear jam or whatever, yelling those things.
Did you find it awkward doing maybe like the grunts, like the as opposed to actually having dialogue and saying something?
I didn't get that.
Did you find it a little weird having to do like weird battle grunts mostly, as opposed to having an animated series where you had actual dialogue?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's just very bizarre lines in those action games. So, you're yelling in Wolverine's voice. Whatever like I said, I don't know what they are. I can't remember. It's been 25 years, so I don't remember what lines, but they were like, he's yelling as he's jumping. Spear jab, see that, it's just all that for like 3 hours.
Now, do you still get like butterflies or jitters in your stomach when you come across old recordings of you as Wolverine?
Oh yeah, I purchased all 5 years on DVD, and it's just blows me away still. It was such a great animated series. I hesitate to say cartoon because when I think of cartoons, I think of like, yeah, what's up, Doc? Like Bugs Bunny and those. This was not frivolous. This was like serious concerns that we dealt with in the series, and it was a serious series, and it was a wonderful. He became, like I said, my right arm, and when he went after 5 years, it was all over. It was like, where'd you go?
Did you find it hard after life after the X-Men, having this tie to Wolverine, wanting to do more of his voice and other outlets, perhaps? Did you find it hard life after the X-Men, wanting to do his voice in other outlets?
Oh, yeah, it was terrible. Like I said, it was like someone cut off my right arm. I mean, we go back to work as we all do, and it was like doing other Pepsi, Coke, commercials, whatever, voiceovers and singing. And yeah, of course I missed them because we would go in spurts of like 2 weeks every month or something, every 2 months, 2 weeks straight of episodes. And when that's gone, it's like a big gap, like anything. It's like when you give up smoking, you kind of miss it until like 5 years goes by, and then
Now, how do you feel when you have adults, children, people of all ages come up to you and be like, "You were my childhood. You helped define who I was, and you helped me through hard times." Does that still get to you and make how does that make you feel?
I can't hear that enough. It's just that their fans are so unbelievable, and they're so sincere when they say things like that, and they mean it. So just wanted to thank you. Some will just go up and say, I want to thank you for making my childhood and helping me get through my childhood. Because again, what we dealt with on the show, a lot of people identify with that, and they're all they're mutants. They're different from everyone else, and it's people loved it. They would identify with whatever character they liked in the show, and it helped them through. I had this father come up with his daughter. They both had I can't remember the name. And he said he just came up, stood there with his daughter, and my daughter's autistic. He said we're both autistic, and he said he went on for 10 minutes, and his wife was there beside him. The daughter was about 12, and both got black and talking about how much it meant to him and how it helped him to get through life and his childhood. And he said, and my daughter also was autistic. So I went, he had claws on them, like the fake claws I have. And I took my hand out and sucked it out. And he took the claw off and shook my hand. And he said, just thank you so much. You helped me so much. And walked away with his daughter. The wife came running back, and this is a true story. She came running back and said, I can't believe what I just saw. He said, he hasn't touched a person, another person's hand or anything, since I've been married, since I've known him. And he said, you obviously mean a lot to my husband. He said, I'm in tears, and she had me in tears. She put out his hand and touched my hand. And it was, see, that kind of stuff happens all the time, and it just makes my heart huge.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a good note to end it on.
Yes.
Is there anything you'd want to say to the X-Men fans of the world, the Wolverine fans of the world?
Just that I love them all, and I miss doing him. That doesn't sound right, but I miss voicing him. And I just can't get enough of meeting you guys, because it was all about you guys.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today, and I truly appreciate it.
You're so welcome.